What's up, everybody? I'm Niko with ALG, and I am joined with Anthony today, while we're going to be looking at the newest champion coming to League of Legends, Akshan. Anthony, if you want to introduce yourself.
You already did, but hello.
So we're here on the PBE. We're going to be checking out his all his abilities and what this champion is going to be capable of and how he's going to play and impact your games. So we're going to get right into his passive. His passive isn't all that complicated, although it is very strong. So the way that his auto attacks work is he always shoots 2 bullets. But you can cancel before the second shot to gain, if I can get it to work here, to gain a little bit of move speed. So instead of shooting the 2, you get to move. Also, he has a 3-hit passive where on the 3rd hit he does a little bit of magic damage and he gains a shield. So I think it's a little ridiculous. It's pretty overcrammed as far as passives go, but recently we've been seeing that that's really what Riot is all about right now. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think this is a little overtuned here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I do think that as we go along the abilities, you'll see that that's kind of the theme of this character. They really just crammed as much text as they could into a lot of these abilities. His passive, as well as a couple of his other abilities, feel like a bit of a mashup. Some of the best ofs with other champions. And I am not a big fan of this passive, but it's definitely useful for his kit, as you'll see as
Oh
we go
yeah.
through this here.
I mean, it's not too complicated. I mean, if he didn't do a couple of the other things that he does, I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with it. But as we'll see in just a bit, I think it's a little too good.
Yeah.
Going from a complicated and lengthy ability to a not very lengthy one at all, we have his Q, which is just a boomerang. It's like Sivir's boomerang, comes back a little quicker. The range starts a little lower, but also what it does is when it's hit, you can see that it does go farther, so it goes way past the range indicator. So
Yeah,
it should
so
end right
essentially when
there.
you hit a minion, it'll reset its range. So if you throw
Well, it
it
hits
here, these two
anything, so
minions.
I can hit both of them.
Oh, anything.
Well, it has
Well,
to hit
right.
like,
Enemy minions, and
yeah.
champions, as well as
So
monsters.
you can get that to go pretty far in like a team fight or wave clearing. That's pretty ridiculous. It does only proc your passive. Oh, does it proc it twice? Oh, it does
No,
proc it twice.
one's
It does put
forward
2
and one's
stacks.
coming back.
Yeah,
And it's
wow.
also worth noting that there is no damage drop off. The boomerang will do the same damage on its
Yeah,
first shot as
which
it
I
does on the
think they
second and
might
third.
change depending on how he decides. Because if he can go like lethality, and this thing is just, it's 80% AD, the base damage is really low, but hitting twice for 80% is a little ridiculous with like lethality being a thing.
Right. I would say even at the very least, it's just a wave clearing machine. But
Yeah.
I mean, beyond that, looking at team fights, the capabilities of an ability that's again very simple but very effective. A lethality build on this guy is
Yeah,
absolutely
and
terrifying.
we see how lethality Sivir works, and this Q's coming out way quicker than Sivir's does. I feel like I might be wrong on that, but that looks a lot
You
faster.
definitely are not. The bounce back on that is significantly faster than what we see out of Sivers.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Next up is his W, which has an active and a passive. We'll start with the active portion, where you become. It's not stealth. It is oh, what do they use the word for it?
Camouflage.
Camouflage, yeah. So if anyone comes within this radius, you will be spotted, but the camouflage remains indefinite as long as you were near a wall. So you can see here that the cooldown isn't starting, but the second I get away, it starts to tick down. But going back to a wall resets it.
And also worth noting there, as you saw when he walked up just to the edge of that enemy minion, that dummy can now see him. He's been
Yeah,
spotted there, even though he is still technically camouflaged, meaning that other enemies that are outside of his radius, while they might not have procced his vision, those other enemy dummies are going to be able to do so anyway. So
so
it
yeah,
is a little bit of a drawback to it, given that the range is pretty significant as far as his spot range, but given that he can technically walk from mid lane down to bot lane or top lane completely invisible as long as no one comes within that range, as we'll see
or
here.
if you walk past a pink
Yeah,
ward.
any type of vision ward as well. Um, it's a pretty good invisibility tool.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous for roaming. Moving into the passive portion of this ability. So whenever an enemy champion kills one of your teammates, they'll become a scoundrel for a minute. Takedowns on them if he damages them within 3 seconds will grant him an extra 100 gold and also resurrects the allies they have slain. So if Karthus hits R and kills 3 people, you kill Karthus, you get an extra 100 gold, and all 3 of them immediately respawn like if they had used the summoner spell Revive. So it's a little ridiculous. It sounds on paper ridiculous. I don't know how ridiculous it's going to be in game, because if you're losing a team fight and you pick one person and 2 people come back and then they still wipe your team, you know, how much did you really get there? But the gaining the extra gold thing does seem like it'll be quite useful early in the game when you're roaming and stuff like that.
If you're looking at this passive and your issue with it is that he gains 100 extra gold off of this kill, I think you need to reread the passive.
Well, I think in some circumstances,
yeah,
that
it's
the
going to be
gaining the
useful
100 gold will
early.
be the thing that happens more than the reviving.
If you're killing them as a scoundrel, you're going to get that revive unless it's early game. Early game, this is really just a good tool for gold generating. Really.
Yeah, and getting around the map.
Yeah, if you get counter ganked, or if someone happens to get caught out top or bot, you can now roam using this wonderful camouflage ability. Kill that scoundrel, take that extra gold, and if your ally is on a significantly long cooldown, depending on what point you are at in the game, even early, if you're ahead, some of the cooldowns can be pretty significant. You can just get brought back. So that's
I mean, even if it isn't that long, like not having to wait, that's like, let's say you lose the 1v1 top lane and then Akshan immediately shows up to pick up the kill, and you get to come back, like you might not be, you know, you could catch your wave in a better
you're not
scenario.
losing out
like,
as much CS.
so
The wave
maybe,
management is a little bit harder in those matchups.
It might be very, very, very impactful.
Absolutely. I think it goes without saying that this ability is a bit ridiculous. I think at all stages of the game, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean the passive is.
Yeah.
Because this
The
is like
active
what
is-
he
the
also
active is fine.
gains. I forgot to mention that he gains movement speed and mana regen while he's hunting a scoundrel. So he gains 80 flat movement speed, which is a lot. I believe is boots a flat amount? Yeah, it's way more than boots gives you. So he can be zipping around the map like Warwick, and he's also getting 12% of his missing mana back, which is basically if he W's and he's moving towards a scoundrel, he's gonna be at full mana.
His
Not
W. What a wonderful, wonderful 2 paragraphs of text. I love it.
And we can get back into an ability that definitely is not anywhere near as controversial. His E, which is grappling hook. Well, you're grappling, you shoot people. Pretty simple. Gonna be fun to use. It also resets on takedowns. So if you do get a kill, you get to keep swinging. It stops whenever you hit a champion or if you hit terrain. I don't know if there's any. I think if you had like Fire Dragon, you might be able to swing indefinitely, but I assume there's got to be like a upper limit. You can't just keep swinging around like that.
So the grappling hook will stop when you collide with terrain or with an enemy, or should you choose to recast it for its 3rd time. I think that's one thing that we didn't touch on. So as far as the ability goes, you're going to be able to recast this ability 2 times.
Well, you cast.
The first stage of the ability is
the
to
direction.
cast. Yes.
And then you can click this, and then you can. I think you
And
can
then you
either.
can recast it a 3rd time to manually just dismount from the grappling
Yeah.
hook. You do not
Or I
want
think
to
you can click
go
the
in
other.
this
Yeah, or
direction.
you can click the other
Yes.
direction. So there's a couple ways
Yes.
to cancel it, which is nice. Yeah, so it's little funky way of getting around. I mean, it's his only movement, which is really interesting. You can't use it to cross walls ever. Like getting to swing around like that can be pretty impactful, especially if they don't have a gap closer to get over that wall. But without getting it refreshed, it's later in the game. It's a pretty low cooldown.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Also-
interesting, and this is a very fun ability to just you
Yeah.
know.
Also worth noting, while you're watching him use this grappling hook, you'll notice that he's getting off a number of attacks that are all also proccing his passive as he circles around the enemy. Really strong usage of the grappling hook that isn't. I believe it is mentioned on the first recast. You'll repeatedly fire the nearest enemy. Yes.
I mean, it's not a ton of damage.
For less damage per shot. Yes. I'm more
But
so
it
interested in the fact
does-
that it still procs the passive.
I think it does scale with attack speed. I guess not. I remember reading earlier that it did, but
It's bonus AD.
Yeah, so it's gonna be more of a way to proc your passive. I mean, it's still gonna be doing damage.
Yeah, unless you decide to use it with the ultimate ability.
Yeah, his ultimate, which is comeuppance. About the dumbest name.
Comeuppance.
So if you can see, if you can look over to the mini map, you can see the range on this ability is a little ridiculous.
Go ahead and
What you do is you click on a champion, you charge for, I think that's 2.5 seconds, and you fire. You can move while you're charging. You can cancel it early to fire less bullets. You can see around him they charge up to 5, which increases with level, up to 7 at max rank. It also does damage based on the opponent's missing health. So you can see that did a total of 300 damage. And if we get the dummy, we get him pretty low, it does way more. And you also get like the execute notification like you were playing like Cho'Gath or something.
So it is an execute then?
Yeah, it is an execute. It does increase damage up to, I assume it's up
that's
to
right.
base health, 33% of their missing, because normally that's what most executes cap out at. So going from 26 to 106 is a little ridiculous. It's about 500 damage if you hit every shot. And they also scale with crit chance and crit strike damage at a less effectiveness. They also execute minions that apply lifesteal.
Yeah.
These it is.
Why not?
It is similar to Lucian's ult, where it can be blocked. So if I want to hit him, like Lucian's and Caitlyn's ult, where I will simply miss. But interestingly, if we come over here, I have a target dummy set up. It can be blocked by towers as well, which is very interesting. So you can see here, you can use towers to block it.
I think it's great that they implemented that.
Yeah.
For one, I think that as far as trading mid lane goes, he's going to have a lot of advantage just with some of the abilities that we went over. But being able to, at the very least, tower behind your tower while you try to back, you have that safety in that option, because as far as getting to you, he has one of 2 ways to do so. I don't believe the grappling hook, for 1, works outside of the tower's range. But for 2, using that ulti, he would have to angle it in a particular way where the tower is no longer in shot. Oh my god, that works from outside tower range.
Oh yeah, you can get to... Can you use it through... I wonder if you can use it... Oh yeah, you can use it through an enemy. Oh, why did it stop there?
I believe it's because you're recasting it too many times, buddy. Just
click
click
it. Can I click?
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
That was weird.
That is such a fun ability. I love that ability.
Oh, you can't right click at all, or else it ends it.
Well,
No,
right,
see,
because that's the cancel we're talking about.
That must be some sort of glitch or something, because I wasn't hitting anything there. I wonder if you could do it infinite. Alright, so we went ahead and we got Infernal Drake to spawn to change the map up a little bit, and it does look like that you can do one full circle. So it doesn't just keep going, sadly. You can't just spin around like Hammond from Overwatch here and just infinitely. That's kind of hard to get the right angle for.
Gotta get the length on the hook. There you go.
You can just kind of keep going a little bit here. You know. Oh, I guess if it's shorter, you go a little farther. You saw that?
Cool.
So yeah, you can just keep spinning.
Oh, look at that!
You know, just spin up.
So it does have a finite limitation as far as the furthest extent that it'll go. I think it's most likely done through a travel number. So once you reach that number, it'll just cut you off regardless of the length. We also went ahead and completed his build here. Of course, we're not entirely sure as to what his build will look like. We'll know as far as what's the most efficient once this champion is fully released and people have gotten more of a chance to play with him. But
it
for
seems
now,
like he'll probably go crit or something along those lines.
Crit seems like it would be the most advantageous. Although lethality, you could easily make a case that this is going to be a terror in the mid lane on full lethality. Prowler's Claw in particular, it sounds like an interesting item on him, but I know Prowler's Claw is not in the best state right now.
Yeah, and he might not necessarily want to be that close. Gale Force might be a way better option to give him some more conventional mobility, not having to rely on there being a wall near you. He would be fun in the jungle, but I don't think he'll be able to.
He would definitely be fun in the jungle. I would worry about his counter gank I think that he would struggle a lot with champions that would just come in a lot healthier and start off with a much higher base health versus him. I think that he needs to hit at least level 3 or level 4 before he's able to fully commit or roam
Well,
with
level
anything.
1 being able to just and cancel your auto like this and get the big burst of movement speed
It's
is
nice
a
for
little
sure,
ridiculous.
but the starting AD I don't think is going to be sufficient enough to warrant any like early level 1, ganks. I don't think you're going to see anything like that
Oh
unless
no.
some maniac
Well,
on
like
YouTube
level
starts
1,
grappling hooks.
he'll be a very strong duelist, I feel. Or like an
Yeah,
invade or something like that. Like he's gonna be pretty.
I think for the most part, they made sure to make his kit fairly safe in the mid lane. I think that one of the biggest concerns as far as playing an AD marksman, which this champion is definitely intended to be in the mid lane, is that you kind of struggle early. It can be a little bit hard to succeed against other champions that have a bit more sustain and just do a better job at poking you down from range, like Malzahar, for example. This champion seems like they have multiple tools to kind of circumvent that, as well as punish a little bit on their own. Should the other mid laner either make a mistake or potentially overcommit to a longer trade, I think Akshan would definitely benefit from something like that as well.
I mean, he's also gonna be one who's kind of roaming nonstop.
Oh, for sure. I'm simply speaking from the aspect of the one-on-one as far as the mid lane goes. The goal and the intention of the champion is 100% going to be to roam to kind of be as impactful as you can. But as far as dealing with that mid lane opposition, I don't think he's going to struggle with that either.
Probably not. Time will tell, but I do foresee this champion being quite a bit strong.
I foresee 3 nerfs, the hard removal of that revival ability. I really don't feel like we we discussed that enough.
I
For
mean,
the
it's
for the
just
record,
ridiculous. I mean,
it's
they take it away from Aatrox, they give it to this guy. It's just,
this,
it is what it is. So yeah, I think that about covers everything today. Enough of our rambling about how we hate League of Legends and we need to play it every day.
yes,
Thank
yes.
you all so much for tuning in. If you guys want to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe, that would be awesome. It helps out a lot. I know we don't have too much up on the channel right now, but we got a lot of people and we're all working on hopefully some pretty good stuff that you guys are going to enjoy.
Not hopefully. We've got plenty of good stuff coming your way. All right.
All right. That was him. He made that
Yes.
promise.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you all for coming. This has been ALG and we are signing off.
Good day, everybody.